Hey, it's Ashley Kirkwood with the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. I wanted to come on here today, pop up, do a solo episode to talk about content development because we're in the last quarter of the year. There's a lot of things that are going on. And so I want to make sure that I tell you guys from a content development standpoint, what we're doing, what you should be doing, some things you should be considering to grow out your speaking business. And I'll say speaking and or business, right? So this will be applicable whether you have a full-fledged speaking business or not. But in terms of content, it's something that you want to be thinking about now. So as you come in, just drop a hey in the comments so I know who's here if you're joining live. If you're listening to this back on the podcast, then hello to that too. But I wanted to come on here because I just wrapped up a podcast interview. And a lot of things were said about, how difficult it is to build a speaking business from the guest and all of that. And so I just want to set some expectations around limiting beliefs you have to get rid of, right? So let's start there, okay? And then two, I want to talk through what are you going to do for your content development plan for 2021? And then I want to invite you guys out. Hey, Audrey, I want to invite you guys out to a private training that I'll be hosting in November. And when I say, hey, from the UK, when I say private, that means you're going to have to send me an application or submit an application to be invited. And it's for folks who are really interested in working with us. So for those of you listening to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast and or watching this in the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group, and you're like, hey, Ashley and her team are dope. I would love to work with her. It doesn't seem like there's many ways to do that. How do we get in? I'm going to demystify all of that in this training and share some awesome tips for speakers. So if you want that invite and you're on Instagram, then send me a DM. And you want that application. If you are on Facebook, the link should be posted so you can click that link to apply, and then we will go from there. So number one, I'm going to start off with this. There are some limiting beliefs that you all are going to have to get rid of if you want to grow your business and or your speaking business. Number one limiting belief that I see people have is like, no one's going to pay me for this. No one's going to pay me for this. If you've ever in your business or as a speaker thought, no one's going to pay me for this, just put me in the comments. And here's what I mean. There are some of you who've been listening to the podcast, you've been coming to the trainings, you've been watching me on lives, you've attended my events, and you've seen me talk about $50, $60, $70, $100,000 contracts for speaking. And when you hear what the contract entails, the work that it actually entails to get those contracts, you're like, it seems too easy. No one's going to pay me for that. Or I don't have a certain level of expertise. Why would anyone pay me for that? Why would someone want me to be the person who they're working with consistently? I'm just not that person. If you've ever been there, you've ever been like, no one's going to pay me for this, and or no one's going to pay me that for this, then just drop a me in the comments. Hey. Because that is the number one belief I want you to just leave in 2020. Because let me tell you something. People are being paid every day of the week more than we could ever imagine. Like a lot of us don't even have a comprehension level of the amount of money that is exchanging hands in commerce every single day of the week. I'll never forget when I started at my firm, and I wanted to do something. It was like we wanted to go somewhere and we wanted to celebrate something. And I think it was like $10,000 a bottle for some champagne, that celebratory champagne that people at my firm wanted to get. And we, of course, wanted to expense it to the firm. And I think someone at the firm called one of the managing partners and was like, hey, it's this $10,000 bottle of champagne. Can we really expense this? Like, is this okay? And she was like, you don't have to ask for that. That's so low. Okay. For a bottle of champagne. This is like for something you're just going to drink, right? And then you're done with it after that one bottle of champagne. A lot of you are offering speeches, life-changing services, multiple offers that people can keep with them for the rest of their lives, and that it can change their lives dramatically for the rest of their lives. Hey, Brittany, and you don't want to charge $10,000 for that. Let's leave that in 2020. Let's leave this mindset of who's going to pay me for this in 2020? Because guess what? It's not your business. Until someone pays me for a problem, I do not have it. And what do I mean by that? This is another thing. you aren't coming, like if people, you all know this. Some of you in the Speak Your Way to Cash family know this. I have a law firm called Mobile General Counsel, and I have a speaking coaching business called Speak Your Way to Cash. Speak Your Way to Cash right now is in the process of getting ready for our awesome academy, which launches in January. There's a select group of speakers that we're working with. So we're behind the scenes working on developing out private networking sessions with corporate clients that are ready to hire these people, developing out all these different things that are going to help this awesome group of right now Black women get paid well. That's what we're doing behind the scenes. And then on the law firm side, we're really focused on our subscription clients that pay either 5, 10, or 15K per month for our firm to service them. That is what we are focused on, right? Some of you are trying to figure out how to sell like a $500 offer when in reality, that offer is life-changing and just isn't priced right. There's other people who are like, man, I wish I could join the academy. It's $20K. I don't have that kind of money. You want to know why? Because you're not priced right. Your prices have to include the amount of coaching, expertise, employees. It has to include all of that, and it has to be based on the value that you're providing. Now, most of you are real experts. Ask me how I know. I've never had a Black woman come to me, and this is just me being honest, right? I've never had a Black woman come to me and say, say, hey, I do this, I do that. I've never had a Black woman come to me and want to raise her prices who didn't really have a level of expertise. Oftentimes, it is something called imposter syndrome that keeps us from charging the rates that we should be charging to run a sustainable business. It's not a lack of expertise. Most of us don't even have the blind confidence to charge a ton of money for something we can't deliver just based on where society has placed us. You get that? Write that down. Let me explain that slowly. Women and minorities traditionally don't even have the level of confidence that it takes to charge a crap ton of money for stuff they cannot do. If you look at the biggest scam artists in the world, people who make a ton of money scamming people, people who lie all the time, people who say they can do stuff and they can't do it, who are they? That's a rhetorical question, but I want you to think about, who are they? There's a show on Netflix. Oh, I cannot even think of the name of it, but it chronicles the lives of true scam artists, like people who've scammed people out of billions. They've done private equity deals. They've said all this stuff. They can't do it. They've taken people's money to invest and they've never given it back. They don't look like me. Okay. And they probably don't look like you, just based on the demographics of my audience, okay? So let me be very clear about the fact that the vast majority of Black and brown professionals that I work with do not have an expertise problem. They have a confidence issue. And they have a confidence issue. Yes, they have a confidence issue because society has conditioned us to believe that solely based on how we look, how we speak in our background, we don't have what it takes to charge the rates that we have to charge, which is why I push back every single time when there are white people that want to hire me to come into their companies and pay me pennies when they're billion-dollar organizations. Let's just be clear. I don't tolerate it. I will walk away from a contract if the rate is not there. Why? Because at the end of the day, my company is diversified in such a way that I don't need any one stream of income that we have in order to make my payroll. So that's just like a strategic thing. You want to build your business in such a way that you are not beholden to any one stream to make your payroll. Because if you don't do that, then you put yourself in a position where you might have to compromise in order to make ends meet. And that's the position that we're in corporate. And that's why we have so many African Americans that leave corporate America, because they feel like, or at least I felt like, I had to compromise a piece of who I was in order to feed my family. I never wanted that position again. And so I'm well diversified. And so when companies try to push me around for a little $5,000 or a little $10,000 check, I say, yeah, no, thank you. Not going to have that, because guess what? That's not a big amount of money to me. Like, do I really, like, it'd be nice, right, to get $10,000, $15,000 for 45 minutes of work, but it's not going to make me compromise. And you want to make sure you're building a business that you do not have to compromise for, okay? Let's just leave the whole, they're not going to pay me for that in 2020. Now, the reason I got on here and did this live is because I just did a podcast interview. And One of the things that came out in that interview was like, it's so hard to build a speaking business. Like basically what was said was your people need to focus on building their businesses and not just trying to build a speaking business because it's way too hard to build a speaking business. That's not true. Here's what's hard. What's hard is like if your mindset is like it's so hard to build a speaking business, I don't know what to do, I'll never be able to make it, I don't know how to move forward in that, then yes it is going to be hard. But the reality is there are steps that you can take to build a speaking business, and there are people who have figured out what those steps are, and you can pay those people, i.e. me, to teach you those steps. Then you can take the steps that I have that have made my business successful, and you can rinse them off and you can make them your own so that those steps now fit your business model and you can expand upon those steps. So no, it's not hard, but it does take strategy. And a piece of the strategy that I will be teaching in the academy, and a piece of the strategy that I'll be teaching the folks who come to the private training, is going to be what is the content that I can put out to attract the clients that I need to attract. A lot of people think, oh, okay, I want to attract my ideal client. And we think of that as a B2C thing. I want to attract my ideal consumer client, right? No, you want to attract your ideal corporate client too, which is why on LinkedIn, when I post a lot about, like, one of the posts that I made was about how these companies need to look at whether they're equitably hiring vendors in a way that makes sense. Because a lot of companies are out here hiring, when you look at their vendor hiring, a lot of companies will do an analysis on their employees to make sure their employees are hired equally and they're being paid equally across racial and gender lines. But when you look at their vendors, that same analysis is not being done. And so I talk about that on LinkedIn because I don't want to get a client from LinkedIn. They work with me and they think I'm going to be their $3,000 DEI workshop person. I'm not, never. You know what I mean? And so I talk about that because I only want to attract the clients that are going to do the work with me. Okay. And then also, here's another thing as a speaker, because we're going to get into content. Number one thing you need to be doing as a speaker on LinkedIn to attract those corporate college clients to get the right content, you want to be talking about your long-term offering. You want to be talking about your long-term transformation. You want to be talking about the client conversations that you have that shift everything. You want to be talking about who your ideal client is. So instead of you posting, oh, I help companies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's fine. But what you really want to be saying is, I was speaking with an HR director last week, and one of the things that we had to tackle is X, Y, and Z. This line of the conversation shifted everything. And then you insert the line that you advise the client on that opened that client's mind to a new way of thinking. Because now the person who is reading that is like, oh, I'm an HR director. Wow, that opened up my mind. And at the end of that post, you want to have a call to action. You want to be building your corporate email list. So you want to really be utilizing storytelling to attract the clients that you want, not just on the B2C side, but on the B2B side. A lot of what I see on the B2B side is boring posts. Like, I help people do, tell a story. Talk about the time when you were in your office and you wish you had an employee engagement consultant that actually cared. Talk about how the companies let me tell you, one of the conversations that we've had recently, I posted this on LinkedIn. It was like, my prayer is that every DEI consultant becomes so financially stable that they have no problem telling billion-dollar companies absolutely not when they make them low offers. That post got a lot of attention, but it got attention from who? The employees, not necessarily the employer, because they're the ones trying to hire you for the low. But guess how I get into a lot of companies? The employer, it connects me with their HR department or their director of human service, director of training and development. And then I get in that way. So don't think that you can't talk to the people that you actually want to talk to. They can very well be your back door into it. They can very well be your back door into the organization. So talk to both. And Audrey actually said this at the Speaker Ready Cash live event. You know, don't be acting like LinkedIn is church and then Facebook and Instagram is the club. Have a little fun. You can tell stories. You can do live videos. You can post pictures of your kids, but you want to, here's what I'd recommend. Story a week. One story a week. That's 52 stories, one story a week. But what I want you to think about when you're developing out your content, and for those of you in the academy, we're doing a whole content planning, and you all are getting a whole planner from me about how to develop out your content. But one of the things I want you all to think about is like, okay, how can I make this content such that it satisfies a lot of different things? So if I'm going to develop out a content calendar for 2020, I want to look at all the months that I can potentially speak at. So I want to know when Black History Month is, when Women's History Month is, when Indigenous Persons Day is, or Indigenous Persons, when the day, when the month is, and what the actual day is. So you can develop out your content like that. But then two, how can I use this in a lot of different ways, right? So if I have video content, how can I take that video, and should I also make this video content a podcast? If I'm going to go live on LinkedIn 15 times, could I also just make that into a podcast? I'm already going to go live on LinkedIn. What are all the different ways I can utilize this content? Should it also go on YouTube? Like, how can I work hard once and develop out all this content, have a plan for it for the year, and then make it applicable to a lot of different ways? So if I'm going to do a LinkedIn live series, that's also going to be my newsletter. That's also going to be what I send my copywriter, and then he's going to convert it into newsletter content. And now I don't have to tell him what to put in my newsletter. I just have to pay him to convert it. So you want to think through, this is the benefit of content planning. What do I need to do in order to make this content as robust and as great as possible one time? And then how can it be reutilized all these different times? And then who's the person that can help me to do that? Okay. And what's the tech that I need to get all of this done? So then, and the goal of this content is to attract your ideal client. So you're going to need a call to action. You're going to need a story, and you're going to need engagement. Those are the three things you're going to need. Call to action, story, and you're going to need engagement. You're absolutely going to need engagement. And what are the different ways you can have that content? Is it all going to be video? Is it all going to be text? Is it all going to be still images, or some variation of those three? And then what is the best way to kind of get that done? Yes, bring your personality to LinkedIn. Someone says this is good. Absolutely, absolutely. Teach us on this Monday. Okay, good. So look, we don't have a lot of time until 2021. So we're doing a private training. It'll be in November. I'll release the date soon. You absolutely have to apply to get in. If you're already in the academy, you can DM me if you want more info about this, but we're going to do our own private training. So don't worry about this if you're already in the academy. But if you are not in the academy, you aren't working with me one-on-one, we aren't scheduled to work together in 2021. Our 2021 calendar, in terms of our clients, could very well be done for by the end of this year. Like, it could be sold up. So what I would recommend you do is you apply for this private training. DM me if you're on Facebook and you need the link. And let me tell you who it's for. And for those of you who are listening, let me tell you how you can get the link. Email hello@AshleyNicoleKirkwood.com for the link if you're listening to this and can't click on things, or look in the show notes. We'll make sure that it's there in the show notes as well. But what you want to do, if you are someone who wants speaking to be a part of your business, meaning that you either want to make $50,000 or more from speaking, and or you want speaking to be something that brings in consistent streams of revenue for your business. You want to learn how to market to those corporate clients to get those things done. And you don't want to Google yourself to success. You want to actually work with someone who's done it and who has both the legal and speaking expertise. Let me tell y'all why this is a huge benefit to you, okay? I'm a lawyer. I'm an intellectual property lawyer, and I do a lot on licensing right now, meaning I help people take their speech or their pre-recorded program, and I write the contracts for them to sell that program into a company. So the company pays them every single year to have that training or program on their in the company's typically learning management system, or you can host it, whatever. But because I'm a speaker and I'm a lawyer, I see both sides of this and how to get this done, which is a huge benefit to those folks who work with me. What I would recommend, though, if you are someone who's like, yes, I want to get this done, I definitely want to work. I want to work to make sure that my speaking business is solid, then you should apply for this private training and you should apply to work with us. Okay. So there's a private training. You can only get in through application. And I don't know, unfortunately, we do not accept everyone via the application. However, if you think you'd be a good fit, submit an application. And if you need that application, DM me, I'll get you the links and all that fun stuff too. But look, y'all, get your content together, okay? Get it together, because 2021 is going to be your year. It doesn't really matter what happened this year. And I think it was the beginning of either this year or last year. I think it was the beginning of this year. I said that this was going to be the year of the plot twist. Did I not Boy, did I not know that was the truth. This is for sure the year of the plot twist. Okay. The benefit of this being the year of the plot twist is, and what 2020 has shown us, it only takes one day. It only takes one day, one email, 1 second, 1 hour, one training, one investment to radically change the way your life operates, and for the better. We've seen it in 2020 for the worse for some people, but it also goes for the better. It doesn't take 5,000, hours or 20,000 hours for you to see radical change in your business. Everything could change for you with one pitch. Everything could change for you with one email. Everything could change for you with 1 minute. And so you need to start operating and working as though 1 day, 1 minute, 1 hour can change everything. So you don't really have time to waste. If you know that speaking is a part of your business in 2021, if you know that you need to get a lawyer for your business, side note, I hope y'all aren't out here operating businesses without legal counsel. That is all. We leave in that in 2020 as well. Get a lawyer on your team. We have legal audits. At least do a legal audit with Mobile General Counsel. Like, make sure you're protecting your intellectual property so that you can adequately monetize it, right? Like, we ain't doing janky business in 2021. We are building companies that are solid, that have a solid foundation, that protect their assets, and that grow. Okay. The only thing we're speaking in 2021 is growth, period. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if your business is in the red. I don't care if your business is not doing well. I don't care if you lost every single client you had. The only thing we're speaking in 2021 is growth, period. That is the only thing we're speaking in 2021. Growth. And I know that times are hard. I know that things have been difficult for some. I know that it may not look like what you expected 2020 to look like. And guess what? 2021 may not look like, right, what you want it to look like, from a perspective of like, the world may not be healed. Your candidate may not get in office. All these different things can happen. But what you need to really make your 2021 great is resolve. And guess what? That has nothing to do with what happens in the political sphere or in the health sphere. You need a resolve that no matter what goes on around me, on some serious stuff, no matter what goes on around me, I am going to grow in 2021. I'm going to grow professionally. I'm going to grow financially. My team is going to grow. My clients are going to grow, because guess what? I always pray for my clients, and I always pray that God will bless their businesses. And I do it because I'm a good person, but also because if everything around you grows, what does that mean? That means you grow too. My clients, I have had clients that have made millions and millions and millions more this year. You want to know why? They're focused. You want to know why? They're resolved. They resolved that no matter what happens this year, I'm going to keep serving. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep being the best version of myself. And when the world goes crazy around them, what do? They shut the world out and they keep going. And so sometimes, although it's good to be informed, although it's great to know what's going on, and I'm a lawyer, so I'm keyed in to what's happening in the world, right? You have to be resolved that no matter what happens in the outside world, every single thing that I can control will flourish. That is where my focus is, period. And so when people call you with negative news, when people call you, because here's the thing, you can't even adequately serve on a high level and lead your community to where they need to go if you're so dialed in to all the problems of the world, unless that is literally your business. Like, if your whole business is like counseling people through trauma and all that, like, you're going to have to figure out your own system for that. But that is not my business. And so I am resolved that no matter what goes on around the world, my clients will win, my business will grow, my family will be protected, and we are going to have enough peace to execute every single vision that I have. Because God doesn't give me visions for me to play around with them or to post about them on Facebook. No, these visions are things to come to life. So I'm going to preview something for you all. I wasn't even going to do this. I got to make sure the website is even up before I say this, because my team's going to be like, Ashley, we weren't even supposed to announce this. Here's what I'm doing, because I knew that this year was wild, right? 2020 was a wild year. And it wasn't even wild in terms of like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to make it personally. It was just a wild year. Here's what I'm doing, because I knew this year was a wild year. The link is up, so I'm going to say this. you can go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/holiday party. Here's what I did. My firm decided this year, because we have amazing clients that have served a lot of people, that this year we are going to honor some of our clients with resilience awards because they've been resilient. Their businesses have grown. They've done all types of stuff. And the reason we're going to honor our clients with resilience awards isn't just because they're so amazing and we want to give them these dope awards, which we are going to give them dope physical awards. But we're doing this because I want everyone to see what resilience looks like even now. And so if you're someone who's like, it's been a rough year for me, or it's been a good year for me, but I just want to be around good energy. I want to go to a good event. I want to celebrate in the midst of this pandemic. I want to celebrate the fact that my business kept going, that I'm still alive, that I still have power. I still have my family. I still have things that I can live for. Then I want you to come to my firm's holiday party. It is 100% free. Just go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/holiday party. Boom, easy. If you need that link, DM me. I'll make sure that we get you that link. I wasn't going to announce it yet because we have like a whole formal rollout, but I want y'all to know I got something for you all. Okay. I got like, we're going to have fun. We're going to celebrate. And at this holiday party, I'm going to do an entrepreneur's address. Like y'all heard of the State of the Union address, right? I'm going to do an address to entrepreneurs that is going to fuel our fire to kick off 2021 in the best way yet, right? Because I think even when things are going haywire, there is still an opportunity to live in gratitude and to move forward. And so we're going to set some resolutions. We're going to be resolved because each of you watching this live, I just know it because I know the people that I attract. Each of you watching this live has a community of people that you are to steward to greatness. And the only way you can do that is if you are resolved. So if you're resolved, just drop a resolved in the comments because we're setting resolutions this year for next year. And we're going to just declare some things about what next year will be. And guess what it will be regardless of what happens outside of what we can control. So I want you all to come to that. I want you all to apply to work with us and attend this private training. And I want you all to be encouraged. Be encouraged. If you're still breathing and alive and you survived this year just physically, that means there is a lot for you to do. There is a purpose for you yet and still. And so I'm excited about your purpose and I'm excited about your vision and I'm excited about the things that we have coming up. So I will be sharing that with you guys. I'll be sharing more about all this stuff with you all. I'm seeing the results come through. If you're watching on the podcast, you can just like listen to this episode and then come on my page and just write resolved on one of the posts. Like I'm down for it. And so it's going to be great. It's going to be great. But there are still some amazing things that can happen this year. And so while you're planning for next year, I want you to keep your expectation high for what can happen this year. For those of you who joined the Speak Your Way to Cash Academy, I cannot wait to work with you next year in our planning session that's happening this year. So be on the lookout for more info about that. But yes, we are resolved. We are getting things done. And I am excited about stewarding a lot of you guys through to your next level of greatness. All right. Have a good one.